What is up, people of YouTube? I'm your host Vernon, and this is Red River. Let's fish that. Alright, ladies and gents, I am close to the Crouchaine Bridge. This is a particular area that the ice melts rather quickly, and for the last 3 weeks or so there has been open water in this area, and for the last couple of days there hasn't been any snow on the ground. But last night we had a snowstorm come past, dropping a little bit of snow, so you'll be able to see some snow in this video still. Now the reason why I'm bringing that up is this time of year in spring it can be very volatile to go fishing. You can have days where you have all 4 seasons in one day, and it can be pretty good fishing as well as terrible fishing. It all depends on the specific day and the mood the fish are in and the water temperatures as well. Now I am rather excited about open water season. Don't get me wrong, I love the ice fishing, but I am eager for some open water fishing. There's quite a lot of places that I want to visit this year and certain fish I want to try and target. And I'm just excited about throwing some big lures for pike, stuff like that. But at the moment, being early spring, it is very important to know that that type of fishing might not work. When targeting a specific type of fish, for instance, like I mentioned, the pike, a lot of the lakes are actually still frozen. You cannot just go throw some big lures for the pike at the moment, and it can be a bit of a struggle when going fishing this time of year. It's going to take long hours of waiting for a few fish. Just because we have open water does not mean the fish are in the area. They are slowly making their way back to these hot spots. So a lot of times you're going to sit around for a long while waiting for that one bite. Now with that being said, it is very important to therefore try and target whatever is biting, not try and hone in on one specific fish, but try and cast as wide a net as possible to see what you can get out there. So for that reason, let's look at the setup we're going to use out there today. Alright, so even though we still do have some ice in the area and a little bit of snow, this is not considered ice fishing, so you're only allowed to use one rod. So for that reason, I'm going to be using my ugly stick out there today. The simple idea being that this rod can catch even rock bass all the way to some giant catfish. So I'm using a rod where we can catch any type of thing because we're deliberately targeting everything out there today. So even though you're allowed to use one rod, you are allowed to use 2 hooks. I'm going to utilize that today. I'm going to have 2 little hooks on here. On the one, we're going to be putting some bait fish. The other one, some night crawlers, trying to find whatever's willing to bite out there. I just have a little weight on there. Not going to cast out in very deep. Going to try and stay a little bit shallower, trying to see if we can get anything like red horse or maybe some goldeye or even some rock bass. Anything like that would be a great catch to get today. Now the typical idea when fishing in cold water is to use smaller baits, smaller pieces. But we don't even know whether the fish are in this area. So I'm going to be using some chunky pieces for the moment. Might swap out to whole fish as well. If I don't get any bites in that, I'll go for smaller sizes, seeing if we can get some of the more finicky fish to go for some smaller pieces. Now, even though we're going to be soaking the baits out there for quite a while, I am going to be moving them around every once in a while. Maybe try close to the little bridge there. We know there's a little bit of a deeper hole right here. I'm going to try in this hole and maybe move down a ways to see where there are fish and if there's any fish around. But for now, just going to get this out there, have it soak in the water for a while. We'll see if we get any fish. Alright, so that's my baits out in the water. We'll see if we get any hits. If I have any action, I'll bring you guys to it. Just had a hit, our line went slack, just want to check on it. So we had our first little hit, and then when reeling in, I got snagged on something, so we need to retie, get it back out there. There we go. Got ourselves a little goldeye. Nice, decent size one. Not planning on keeping any today. Lovely little goldeye. Let's get him back to the water. Off he goes. Let's give him a bit of a toss there. Try and find a better place so we can get these fish back to the water. Alright, so our first little fish in open waterfall this year, and that happens to be a little goldeye. Happy with that. My money would have been on a tiny little channel catfish, but happy to have gotten that fish at least. Now that was actually the third hit that I got out there today. I lost another fish where it pulled on the rod and then completely stopped. So for that reason, I'm swapping out to 2 circle hooks, hoping that I can better keep the fish pinned. Now also, the first hit I got this morning after just casting in, since then it's been 2 hours of not getting any fish. I had one little bite, and then finally 3 hours after starting to fish, we finally got a little fish. That is why I'm saying it takes a long time. You have to wait for the fish to find your baits. These fish don't want to be moving around a lot. They are quite lethargic in this cold water, so they're not moving around that much, so you have to wait a long time to find some fish. Alright, ladies and gents, it is 2 p.m. and it actually started raining a little bit with some little snow drilled in there, and it is just simply too cold to be out there. But I don't want to be ending this video like that, so I think what I'm rather going to do is I'm going to do a multi-day video just to have a good excuse to get out here for a couple of days, try and see if we get on some different fish. So with that, let's get to
Day 2.
So here we are back at our little fishing spot. It's now been 4 days, so this is 4 days later. As you can see, we have clear bluebird skies, no clouds today. Let's see the nice and sunny day, whether the fish are more active and willing to bite. And we're just going to be using the exact same setup, my little ugly stick and the normal baits that we had the first day. We're just going to get that out there, see if we have some active fish willing to bite today. Alright, there are a few things I quickly like to point out. Number one, you'll see that I had a haircut as well. So a lot can change in 4 days. But what I want to point out is when looking at this particular spot, looks can be very deceiving. The first day I was out here, had on my big jacket and everything, got extremely cold, having the overcast conditions. Whereas today, it's a lovely sunny day, but it is actually colder today than it was on the first day. Back then it was 2 degrees Celsius, whereas at the moment it is minus 5 degrees Celsius. So even though it looks a lot better out there, it is actually colder. But another important thing, we don't have as much wind today as we did on the first day, and the wind does bring in quite a chilling factor. And add to that, being able to bake in the sun, that makes a big difference. We had a couple of days of good sun-filled weather, you might actually get the fish all riled up and willing to feed. So even though the point of this video is to show that you need to wait a long time during the early spring season to find fish out there, there is also a little bit of a hidden point, and that is just to calm my own nerves. I am very excited to get out there and start throwing around lures. But just because you have access to open water, that does not mean the fish will be chasing down lures. That all depends on the water temperatures. That first day, I actually got a bit cool and got bored, so I started throwing around some lures. So this is more to remind myself what fishing is all about, and that it's okay to sometimes sit a couple of hours and just fish out there. It can kind of be like meditation, just sitting in the sun, baking, and waiting for some fish to show up. Just being calm and relaxed and gather your thoughts. It can be quite relaxing, and that's the point. You're going to be sitting around, being relaxed, and wait for some fish to show up. Alright, ladies and gents, it's been a couple of hours of fishing and no fish out there. Now, be honest with me, you also thought that being a nice and sunny day, we get on some more fish, right? Well, that's the thing. When it comes to fishing in spring, it can be quite volatile. Just like the weather goes up and down, so too is the fishing up and down. Some days can be good, some days it can be rather boring. Now, as you can see at the moment, I'm all dressed up. It is quite cold. When you're sitting still doing nothing, it is easy to get quite chilly. And rather ironically, at the end of this week, we're heading into the 10 to 15 degrees, which will actually be a better time to be out here fishing. And it is for that exact reason that quite a lot of people actually don't go fishing in spring. It is good to be eager to get out there and do some fishing, but when the fishing is this slow, you actually learn quite a lot from it, and it does help balance things out a bit. It is sometimes easy to want to be checking your baits every 10 minutes or so, or maybe thinking, maybe I should just cast in this direction, maybe the fish aren't here, they're over there. And when doing this type of fishing, if you're sitting around for quite a long time, it actually helps calm your nerves, and you realize you don't necessarily have to be doing all of that. It helps you just sit and wait and see whether the fish are willing to bite. Now, with all of that said, we did get on at least one little fish for this video, so please give me a little thumbs up for that. And you know the rest about subscribing and leaving some comments down below. Alright, but I want to thank you for tagging along on this one, and like always, I'll see you next time.